Could you lock in for 50 minutes if it guarantees to change your life completely? In the next 50 minutes, I'm going to share the proven system inspired by an ancient Vedic theory that will cure your procrastination in a month. And it's actually simpler than most people make it to be. How am I so sure this works? Because this exact system has not just flipped my life, but has created the kind of results for my coaching clients you're seeing on the screen right now. Hi, my name is Fuzzy and I'm a certified expert coach. And if you need professional help to apply this entire system in your life specifically, book a free strategy call with me and I'll help you do just that. Let's understand the Vedic theory this entire system is based upon. Panchkosha Theory says that you are made up of layers and sheets, 5 sheets. So Panchkosha literally translates to Panch, which means 5, and Kosha means layers or sheets. So there are 5 layers you or everyone is made up of. First one is physical layer. And this involves your physical body, your digestion, even your brain. The second layer is intellectual or mental layer. Mental layer is your thoughts, your beliefs, how you operate at the level of your mind. The third layer is emotional layer, which is how you feel, your emotions, how much trauma do you carry. The fourth layer is energy or pran. So it has everything to do with how you breathe and your breath. And then the final layer is spirit or anand. And the spirit layer has to do with your higher self, your connection to God, universe, whatever you want to call it, or how much presence you have within yourself. The crux of this Panchkosha theory is that all of these systems are interconnected. They are all connected to one another. So if you improve in one area, it affects your other areas as well. An example could be if you lose weight in your physical body system, you feel better, you think clearly, you have more energy, and you feel more connected to your presence. You're more present when you are healthier. And Panchkosha theory says that if you want to improve in any area of your life or if you want to address any problem, the ideal way of addressing it is through addressing it at all of these 5 levels and not just individually at one level. And what's weird to me is when it comes to sorting your life, when it comes to beating procrastination, when it comes to being disciplined, no one is talking about how it should be addressed at multiple levels. You have to look at your beliefs, you have to address your suppressed trauma, you have to have good amounts of energy, you have to be connected to your presence. You have to address this issue at multiple levels holistically. It's not just an issue at your physical level, and it's not just a problem of laziness. You have to do it, you have to address it at multiple levels. So if you wanna start improving your life, I've personally found it to be the most effective to address your life at the level in which you're the weakest. So if suppose you carry tons of trauma and that's your weakest level, you feel terrible most of the time, then you would want to start addressing improving your life at the level of your emotions. And based on years of trial and error and also researching a lot of topics, I've made this chart which includes habits that you can do on a regular basis to balance out each system specifically. This is by no means an exhaustive list. These are just the habits and tools that either I've personally tried them, or B, I came across them, I read them, I researched them, and it resonated with me personally. I explain a lot of these tools and habits in the coming steps. Now, if you're confused as to which system you want to start with first, don't worry. This is exactly why I've created this entire system. So just follow the process and see your procrastination vanish in a month. Let's look at the most crucial step of the process. Let's say you find some tips and tricks on how to be productive on YouTube and you start applying them. And it does make you more productive. So you start becoming more productive, and let's suppose this building is how much progress you've made by being disciplined. But because you didn't address it holistically using the Panchkosha theory, you have a weak foundation. Let's say this is the foundation that you've built. Now, something terrible happens, God forbid, and a storm comes. The storm being something terrible happening to you. Maybe you fall sick, maybe someone you love falls sick, maybe you lose your job, whatever. Because you had a weak foundation, the foundation crumbles because of the storm, and all of this progress that you've made, it shatters. And that is why most of the people fall off the wagon and they can't get back on their progress. And it becomes this cyclical process of making progress, something happening, and then starting again. The way we build a strong foundation is through having at least these three pillars. The first pillar is your beliefs, the beliefs you have. The limiting beliefs you have are like the legs to your problem. The same way a table has legs that holds it, if you address these limiting beliefs and destroy them, the table falls and you cure your problem to a great extent. And different people have different beliefs depending upon their upbringing. The most common, like through coaching several people, the most common of belief that I have come across is this belief of I am lazy. Now, if you look at this statement, I am lazy, it's an identity statement. What that means is it goes to your very identity. When you say I am lazy, it's similar to saying I am a guy, I am a girl. It goes to your very identity. And something that goes to your very identity cannot be undone. You cannot undo your guyness, or you cannot undo your humanness. So I had a client and she had this belief which she kept repeating. She literally kept repeating this sentence that I am lazy, which meant that she had this belief. So I realized that. And she had tried everything to become not lazy. She had tried using willpower, she had tried timetables, she had tried motivation, nothing worked because the leg that was holding her problem was this belief of I am lazy. So I asked her, has there ever been a time in your life where you were not lazy, where you didn't act lazy? And she thought for some seconds and she said, yeah, there has been times where I did not act lazy and I was productive. So then I asked her this, and this is key. Which statement is more true? I am lazy or I act lazy sometimes? And when I asked her this, I could see her mind just open up and she immediately had this light bulb moment. And she said, yeah, the statement I act lazy is more accurate. And then I followed up with another question. What if I suggest you some tools and some mindsets and some tricks which will allow you to never act lazy and be productive most of the times? And she was like, yeah, that's possible. That is why I've joined the coaching. And then finally I asked her again, what do you think about this belief now that I am lazy? And she was like, yeah, this does not make sense now. This is more accurate and this can be dealt with because this is something that is not your identity but something that you do. So if laziness is something that you do, it can be undone using the tools and mindsets that I'm about to share in this video. So audit your life for such limiting beliefs. This was one of it, but some examples could be I was traumatized, I can't stick to things, my family interrupts with my productivity. It can be anything. There is infinite possibilities. And then you can change these limiting beliefs by giving your mind not any promises. You cannot tell yourself I am not lazy, I am not lazy. Your mind won't believe it. You have to give your mind proof, not promises. So you give your mind proof by taking action and giving your mind enough proof of the opposite of the limiting belief that you have. The second pillar literally turned my life around 180 degree. I have this underlying process in my life where I bring up suppressed emotions, suppressed trauma from the past. I feel those emotions, I get comfortable with them, and which allows me to release them. And what I noticed on this journey was whenever a strong emotion would come up and it would just lurk around the surface, I felt like doing nothing, just like lying on my bed and doing nothing all day long. And whenever I took some time, processed that emotion and released it, it just unleashed a fuck ton of productivity. I would just be super motivated and I wanted to get shit done. And this had to repeat dozens of times before I made the connection. It's almost like there is this pipe of motivation which is blocked by emotions. And whenever I released some of that emotional charge, it unleashed motivation. And you've experienced this phenomena in your life, I'm pretty sure. So think back to a time when you were feeling on top of the world, just energized, motivated, and something happened. Maybe you heard some bad news and your energy just dipped, that motivation vanished, and you lost the urge to even maybe eat. And that was the instant clogging up of this motivation pipe because you felt terrible in that instant. Now you can address your emotions at 4 levels. The first level are things like therapy, hypnosis, coaching, any sort of help from an expert who's been on this journey. Now, this does take some investment, but trust me, I've gone this route. It makes your journey exponentially fast. Your blind spots are pointed out like it would take you years to find them. So I highly suggest this one. The second set of exercises that help you with emotions are exercises like meditation, yoga, trauma release exercises, qigong. The thing with these exercises is that you have to do a lot of introspection and research. You have to research them a lot and you have to understand their basic principles. And once you understand their basic principles, you then have to find a way to apply them in your life specifically, in a way that clicks with you. But if you do step one, if you do the practices in level one, the expert you approach might help you formulate a level 2 exercises. So that will be an added bonus of level 1 as well. The level 3 is what I cheekily call self therapy, and it includes journaling. Journaling is beautiful. I fucking love it. I do it multiple times in a day, and there are really 2 types of journaling that will help you with your emotions. The first one is building, which is all about building pleasant emotions like gratitude, compassion, acceptance in your life. And then the second type is releasing. I talk about some practices that build pleasant emotions at the end of this video in the last chapter. But for the purpose of releasing, there are really 2 journaling types that I've found extremely useful and which I do regularly. The first one is Greek, what I call Greek journaling, which is nothing but you making bullet points, you making notes at the end of your day about everything that happened. And what this does for me is it gives me that sense of closure for the events which I feel like I didn't get closure of. So if something happened that triggered me or bothered me, I can and if I didn't get the time to acknowledge the emotions and thoughts when that event was happening, I always have a time to do that at the end of the day when I do the Greek journaling. So I just made a record of how I felt, how I thought, what all things happened, key points, not everything, and that gives me a sense of closure. And you can combine this with what I call brain dump. Brain dump is you just dumping everything that's going on in your mind without any structure really. So the first time I experienced this, I was humiliated and I was just super frustrated. So I came back home. I just wrote and wrote in my anger in no specific order. So like whatever was coming up, I just dumped it. I just vomited on a piece of paper. And after I got done with that, it felt like A, I had taken a massive shit, and B, it felt like I was floating. It was beautiful. And since then, I've been a big fan of brain dump. So you can combine Greek journaling with brain dump if something that triggered you comes up when you're doing Greek journaling. Or you can do brain dump individually as well. It's beautiful. And the final level is something that I believe everyone can do, and there's really no excuse for anyone to not do this. It's this app called How We Feel. It's a beautiful fucking app that allows you to name what you're feeling with precise words. And it's proven by several researchers that naming with like giving precise words, using precise language to word what you're feeling, is an amazing way to process your emotions. This app is so convenient and it allows you to do just that. There are like little bubbles and it's just an amazing app. Highly suggest you get this. It's free on Play Store and App Store, so there's really no reason why anyone should let this go. And then the final pillar is dopamine. Let me simplify this for you to a good extent. People complicate this a lot. I'll just simplify it for you quickly. Just taking care of this pillar will allow you to be motivated. It'll help you feel amazing. It'll improve your mood. It'll make you focus, increase your productivity, and sort out your sleep schedules. This is an amazing pillar to focus on. There are again 3 levels at which you can address your dopamine levels. The first level is Vipassana, what I call Vipassana. At this level, you literally make your life a Vipassana retreat. If you've ever been or if you've ever heard of what a Vipassana retreat is, it's a period in your life, 14 days, if I'm not wrong, where you do nothing. It's just basically 14 days of boredom. And every little thing that could in any possible way stimulate you is removed from your life in that retreat. And that brings up a lot of demons from within. This level is for extremists. So if you're an extremist and if you can make your life a Vipassana retreat, this is beautiful. I've done it during the lockdown, and if you do this, it will give you your childhood brain back. Like literally sitting and looking out of the window becomes pleasurable. It's like you're watching a movie. So this is awesome. Highly recommend for people who are extremes and want to go to this level. The second level for dopamine is quit activities that give you a lot of dopamine. So things like porn, doom scrolling, eating a lot of junk food. And this I believe a lot of people can do. And the steps I'm about to share will help you with all of these levels. So if you can just quit some of the highly stimulating activities that give you a lot of dopamine, which you might even be addicted to, it will sort out your dopamine levels to a good extent. And if you sort out these 2 pillars first and follow the tools which I'm about to share with you, this will become much easier. People might be thinking, yeah, I know. No shit, my addiction harms me. How do I stop? Don't worry. Like if you do these and the steps I'm about to share, it will help you to a good extent. The third level is again something that everyone can do. I believe there's no excuse why anyone should not do this if they want to get their life sorted and their dopamine levels fixed, is something called dopamine loading. Dopamine loading is basically you organizing your day such that you do the difficult tasks first early on in the day, and then as your day progresses, you're allowed to do pleasurable things. So an example is, I do this personally. I don't touch my phone till 2 p.m. until I've gotten done with my deep work, my workout, my yoga, my breath work, all of those things which are difficult. Then and only then at 2 p.m. I pick up my phone. And then I do other pleasurable activities that I want to do. So you don't really have to quit things or make your life a Vipassana retreat if you want to get your dopamine sorted. But you can organize your day such that you do the difficult shit first. And then by the end of the day, when you've gotten done with the difficult stuff, you can do the pleasurable activities so that you get the most out of your dopamine system. Here are some of the low hanging fruits that will allow you, irrespective of which path you choose, that will allow you to get the most out of your dopamine levels. So the first one is getting sunlight early in the morning. As soon as you wake up, this is a non-negotiable for me, getting some sun. And if you get some sun, it is beautiful. I'll not go into the details, but it is beautiful for your sleep schedule, for your mood, for your dopamine levels. 2 to 10 minutes of sunlight exposure is awesome. Another low-hanging fruit is get your sleep schedule on track. It's an obvious one, it's a duh one. Go to sleep at the same time every day and try to wake up at the same time every day within an hour of range, and it will be amazing for your dopamine levels. And then finally, avoid stacking high dopamine activities. What stacking means is doing multiple activities that you find pleasurable at one time. So, an example could be going to the gym, listening, blasting music in your headphones, and drinking coffee before it. So dopamine stacking do make things fun, but when you get that spike of dopamine, it is followed by a crash, and this crash is where shit goes downhill and you lose all of your motivation, your productivity. Now, if you follow all of this in the third pillar, it does become easier in 28 days because your dopamine receptors reset in 28 days, in 4 weeks. So you just have to do this for 28 days, and then all of this starts to become your default. Now that you have the foundation sorted, let's look at how you can achieve your wildest of dreams. Research has shown that if you write down your goals with a pen and paper, it increases your likelihood of achieving those goals by 42%. Think about it. If you just do nothing and go right now and take a pen and paper, write down your goals, you are 42% more likely to achieve them. But this goal setting exercise takes it to a whole new level. It's just that on steroids. It's the best goal setting exercise that I have personally come across. It's actually something that I have created, modified. And if you want to experience the life-changing benefits of this exercise, I highly suggest you do this right now with me. It's inspired from an exercise Tony Robbins shares in his book, and I've modified it to make it even more powerful. The first step of this exercise is writing down your goals. What I want you to do is I want you to set up a timer for 5 minutes, and I want you to take a pen and take a paper, and I want you to just go ham. I want you to write your wildest dreams that you'd like to achieve in your life. And at this stage, don't care about whether you can achieve that goal or not. If you have a goal, if you have a dream, in the next 5 minutes, I want you to write it down. Don't give a shit about whether you can achieve it or not. The metaphor Tony Robbins shares in his book is to become a child on Santa's lap on the day of Christmas. So go crazy, become a child, and for the next 5 minutes, don't let your pen stop. At least for 5 minutes. You can go for as long as you want. Do it right now, and here are some goals to consider. Now, what I want you to do is, I want you to give a timeline to these goals. In how much time would you like to achieve these goals? And even at this stage, I don't want you to think of whether you can achieve this goal in X amount of time or not. What I want you to ask yourself is, in how much time would I like to achieve this goal? Put numbers next to it. If you'd like to achieve in 1 year, put the number 1 next to it. If you'd like to achieve in 2 years, put the number 2 next to it, and so on. It said that goals are just dreams, but with a timeline. So take a couple of minutes and do that. Now, among all of these goals, I want you to pick up the single most important goal in the next year. Scan through all of those goals and just pick your single most important goal that you'd like to achieve. And once you're done doing that, I want you to ask, what daily action do you need to take for you to reach that goal? So if suppose your goal is to lose 20 kgs, your daily action could be doing weight training every single day for 60 minutes. Be as specific as possible for this step. And then once you have figured out what daily action you need to take, I want you to write your why. Friedrich Nietzsche said, if you have a strong enough why, you can bear almost anyhow. For this step, I want you to write all the reasons that you have that you want to achieve this goal. Include things like what makes it compelling to you. What would you gain by achieving this goal? What would you miss out by not achieving this goal? How does it contribute to the people around you, your loved ones? How does it contribute to your mission, your goal, your purpose? Just take a few minutes and write as authentically as possible and just go deep within and find out your why. This step is super crucial because this is what will motivate you in the days to come. Now that you're done writing your why, let me ask you this. Are the reasons that you just wrote down strong enough for you to follow through and take action on your daily steps? If your answer is yes, awesome, you can go on to the next step. But if your answer is no, I want you to go back to the third step and pick the single most important goal which has value to you and which you genuinely want to achieve, and then follow from there. Write stronger reasons and find deep enough reasons that compel you. Now let's make it impossible for you to not achieve this goal. I want you to do this fun exercise with me. Sit in a comfortable position with your back and spine straight. Close your eyes and relax. I want you to imagine, I want you to visualize the moment that you've achieved this goal, or maybe you've realized that you've achieved your goal. And I want you to immerse yourself as if it's happening right now. Step into your body, step into your mind as if this moment is happening right now. What are you seeing? Who is around you? Your family, your friends? Who are you celebrating this with? What are you hearing? Are you hearing claps? Are you hearing laughter? What are you smelling? What are you tasting? Is it a cake? Is it balloons? And most importantly, how are you feeling now that you've achieved this goal? Are you feeling excited? Do you feel grateful? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel a sense of relief that you've achieved this goal? All of that effort was fruitful. Really make this visualization as detailed as possible. Live it as if it's happening. You're not hoping, you're not wishing for this goal. You have achieved it and you're living that moment. I want you to take a mental snapshot of what are you seeing, what are you hearing, is there anything that you're smelling or tasting, and most importantly, how are you feeling? Let that feeling be expressed in your body language, your posture, and your expressions. Like bring those expressions up, which will come up when you've achieved this goal. Really make it as real as possible and take a mental snapshot. Now, I want you to make quick bullet points of what the visualization was like. Quick bullet points so that you can remember this in the future. And if you want to make it impossible for you to not achieve this goal, revisit this visualization every day in the morning, with the most emphasis on the emotion. How would you feel when you've reached this goal? I personally do this every day in the morning. This is a part of my morning routine, and it just motivates me like nothing else to organize my day to reach my goals. So it's beautiful. Highly recommend this. And then finally, I want you to become an imperfectionist. I used to be a hardcore perfectionist. I'm actually a recovering perfectionist. And I wanted to make everything be like, I want to have everything be perfect. It's like micromanaging everything, and that perfectionist within me was just eating away and chipping away at my happiness and my progress. But my mind just blew when I read this book, specifically the story Stephen shares, in which he does some push-ups in the toilet of a restaurant because he had to get done with his workout for the day. And reading that story opened my mind, my perfectionist mind, and since then I've been trying to become more of an imperfectionist. What that means is valuing action over perfection. So I want you to start adopting this mindset of valuing action over perfection. And if your daily action was doing 1 hour of workout, I want you to turn that perfect action into something imperfect. So maybe that 1 hour of workout becomes wearing your gym clothes and going downstairs. Turn your daily action into something that you can complete in just 2 minutes. And if you visit your goal through visualization every single day and you start adopting this imperfectionist mindset, consistency for this goal will become a child's play for you. Now let me share the secret to bring motivation at your fingertips. If you're liking this information so far, and if you feel like you need help to apply all of this in your life specifically, book that free strategy call. There are limited number of seats and I'll help you do just that. When it comes to motivation, there are really 2 types of it. So the first type is external motivation, and this includes things that motivate you which lie outside of you. So it could be approval, validation, which is nothing but the same thing, status, and money. Now, nothing against all of this. It has its utility, it has its purpose, But the thing with external motivation is, although it has a lot of power and it can motivate people for years, it's like fossil fuel. It will give you a lot of power, it will give you a lot of energy, but it burns out quick. The other type of motivation is like this infinite source of inspiration within, and I like to compare it to sustainable energy. There is a lot of energy in it, and you can keep renewing it. It keeps coming back. It's a lot sustained in the long run, which is intrinsic motivator. Intrinsic or internal. There are 5 key intrinsic motivators. The first one is mastery. Mastery is the desire of achieving competence. It's the endless pursuit to achieve competence in any skill, in any area of your life. And the activities that give you a sense of mastery, you are extremely motivated to do. Mastery is a strong one for me personally. The second one is curiosity, which is my personal favorite. Curiosity is the urge and desire to know more. Humans have this innate need and desire to understand things, to make sense of things, to solve puzzles. And you see this energy in kids who are endlessly motivated to figure stuff out. By the way, curiosity is also the motivation on which the entire of YouTube thrives. You look at a thumbnail, you look at a title, and you feel curious, like what the fuck does it mean? And then you click on it to watch it. So curiosity is a strong driving factor for humans. The third one is autonomy or freedom. Humans also have this innate need for freedom and autonomy. So the activities that give you a sense of autonomy and that also increase your possibilities in life, you're more motivated to do. The fourth one is love. And this is quite a duh one. So the activities that you love doing, the habits, the pursuits that you love or enjoy in and of itself, you're more motivated to do. So an example is I fucking love playing TT. And I don't need approval, validation, status or money to go and play TT. I'll pounce upon any opportunity to go and just play. So that's all about love. And then the final one and the most powerful intrinsic motivator is purpose. Purpose is how much of something contributes to a greater good that is beyond yourself. So if an activity contributes to something beyond yourself, it can be your family, it can be your nation, it can be the earth, anything beyond yourself, you'll be super motivated to do that. And that's what purpose is about. Now, all of these motivation lies on this pyramid by a psychologist, Abraham Maslow. And this pyramid is called, what is it called? It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the crux of this pyramid is the higher up an activity is on this pyramid, the more motivated you are to do it. And if you see, all of the extrinsic motivators lie down here in the base, and most, if not all, intrinsic motivators lie at the top of this pyramid. And purpose, by the way, is way up at the top because, like I said, it's the most powerful one. Now, if you're wondering how can you utilize this intrinsic motivators to achieve your goals and fix your life, I'll share a concrete exercise that will help you do exactly that. For the purpose of this exercise, I want you to write the activity that you want to get motivated for. So let's suppose you want to get motivated for hitting the gym. Now, along with that activity, I want you to write the outcome that you're after. So the outcome of hitting the gym for me would be to be healthy and have a sexy body. Then, using a pen and paper, I want you to connect this activity and its outcome to all of these 5 intrinsic motivators. Here's how you do that. Answer this question for all of these intrinsic motivators individually. What about this activity or its outcome leads to blank? Answer this question for one intrinsic motivator at a time and write as authentically and as genuinely as possible. Because you cannot really fool yourself into being motivated. You have to be genuine and authentic and true to yourself. And the more creative you are, the more points you can get. You don't have to find points for all 5 intrinsic motivators. The more you do, the better it will be for you in terms of the motivation you get out of this exercise. So do it right now. I'll share an example on the screen so that you understand this better. Okay. Awesome if you did the exercise, and now that you've done this exercise and connected the activity to these 5 intrinsic motivators, I'm curious, and let me ask you this. How do you feel about doing this activity now? Do you feel more motivated? Do you want to just go do it? And now, all you have to do to get this sense of motivation and energy back for this specific activity is whenever you're feeling low on motivation, keep this list that you made right now on your phone as a wallpaper or whatever, where you can access it easily. And then pull up that list and read through it whenever you need that sense of motivation. And it will come rushing back up. Now, here are the 3 concrete tools that end procrastination. The first one not only helped me become more productive, but it doubled my productivity, reduced my overthinking, increased my self awareness, and also helped me find my purpose. So, whenever I have free time these days, instead of immediately filling it up with distraction or even something productive, actually, like reading a book, what I do instead is I just sit in plain boredom doing nothing. And what this does for me is it brings up certain emotions, certain thoughts that I had not acknowledged or processed, and my mind processes them automatically. And when my mind processes all of these thoughts, all of these emotions, even information that I acquired, it runs it through the lens of me. It makes that information fit into my worldview and in my reality, and that makes all of that information more creative. That is exactly how I come up with all of this information for my videos. And I believe that's a natural way of being for humans. Humans have always had free time throughout the history of humankind to do nothing and just wonder about things, which was very conducive of your mental health. But now we have endless distraction at our fingertips, and that leads to so many problems. One of the major one being lack of self-awareness. You see so many people with zero self-awareness out there. And it does make sense if you think about it. Let me ask you this. If you want to get to know someone better, maybe they're a potential partner, how do you do that? Do you do that by A, ignoring them, judging them, not listening to them, or B, by being curious, by spending time with them and listening to them? How do you do that? I'm hoping the answer is by being with them and being curious and listening to them. And that is exactly how you get to know yourself and parts of you better, by spending time with yourself, being curious, asking questions, and just staying with that sense of non-judgment. That's why for me personally, having free time in my days, at least half an hour, 1 hour of free time, is a must and a non-negotiable for me. But it's easier said than done. There's actually a study in which college students were asked to sit in boredom and do nothing for a while, but they only had one option. They had a buzzer in front of them which they could hit on, which would give them electric shocks. And these shocks were unpleasant because before the experiment, the participants admitted that they would pay money to avoid these shocks. That is how unpleasant they were. And some 60% of men actually preferred electrically shocking themselves over sitting in boredom with their thoughts and emotions. That is how unpleasant boredom is. But you can use it for your advantage. Here's how. So these days, whenever I'm writing a script, let's say I'm writing a script for my video, and I don't want to do it, I don't feel like doing it. The only option I keep for myself is plain and absolute boredom. So doing nothing. So if I don't write my script, I have to sit on my ass and do nothing. And what this does for me is I'll sit on my ass for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Then after that, my mind goes, fucking hell, this is a boring fucking state. Writing script was much more better than this. And it kicks me into action towards writing the script again. And this works 100% of the time, by the way. The second tool is something that will help you beat procrastination every single time in just 90 seconds. And I cheesily call it procrastination killer. This tool is based upon the research done in Stanford University, which says that procrastination is not really a problem of laziness or even time management. So timetables won't help you, but it's rather a problem of emotions. There's an emotion in the future that you're trying to avoid or mitigate by avoiding a task. And this tool tackles procrastination at that very level, at its root cause, which is emotions. So for the first step, which is understanding your situation and understanding your procrastination, I want you to notice any patterns that you have. What activities do you procrastinate on? what times of the day do you procrastinate, and what tasks that you do to procrastinate. Some examples could be: I procrastinate while studying. I procrastinate the most when I'm tired or at night, and I procrastinate by watching YouTube. So really spend some time and ask yourself these questions to figure out the pattern, to really understand your procrastination. And you'll be surprised by some patterns that emerge. Like, it brings a lot of awareness if you just sit with your pen and paper and do this. And then you ask yourself what emotions I might be avoiding by procrastinating with this activity at this time using this task. Really sit with that question even if something does not come up. Some common emotions that people try to avoid are fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of success, some sort of anxiety. It can be anything. You can also use the app, How We Feel, whenever procrastination hits, to pinpoint what exactly you're feeling. So that will be extremely useful here. We talked about this app in the foundations. Now, the second step to procrastination killer is to release. This is something you do when the procrastination hits. This is preparation and to increase awareness, but here's what you do in the field when procrastination comes your way. So in the release, what you do is you name the emotion out loud using exact words. You can use this app for that purpose. And you close your eyes and you notice where you feel it in your body. Even point to where you exactly feel it. It might be in your chest, it might be in your throat as tightness, it can be in your belly as knots, whatever, doesn't matter. Just name what you're feeling and then notice where you feel it. So it could look like I'm feeling the fear of failure, that I might fail, and I feel it in my gut. And then set off a timer for 90 seconds and allow yourself to feel this emotion completely. Just accept that you're feeling this emotion in this moment and allow yourself to feel it for the next 90 seconds. You can even journal about your emotions and feelings using brain dump, which I suggested, if you feel like that helps. And at this step, it's important to remember that emotions are temporary and transient states that come, they rise and then go away, almost like the waves. A lot of us feel that if we allow some emotions to come up, they'll just take over our lives. An example could be anxiety. We feel like if we allow ourselves to be anxious, we'll be anxious all the time. But that's not true. If you allow yourself to feel it completely without judging it or pushing it away, it comes like a wave and then it goes away as well. And now that you have done the release and addressed the cause of this procrastination to a good extent, it's time for you to take action. And now it will be much easier to take action because you've done the release and cleared that motivation pipe of all the clog that was stopping you from taking action. So after release, just focus on starting. Don't think about the entire task and how much work you have to do, but rather just at this point, focus on getting started. And take tiny action like an imperfectionist. And this will help you get started, beat procrastination. And procrastination killer is a beautiful way to strengthen your foundation, the foundation of emotion, the pillar of emotion specifically, while making progress. The third tool allows you to break any bad habit that is stopping you from being productive and reaching your goals. I call this tool mindfulness timer, and I developed it using the scientific principle mentioned in this book. It is extremely powerful and will allow you to break the strongest of habits. There are 5 steps to it. I'll be taking the example of watching porn as a habit that you'd like to break. So whenever you feel an urge to, if your intention is to stop watching porn, and whenever you feel that urge to watch porn, here are the 5 steps to beat that habit. The first one is set off a timer for 3 minutes. Whenever this urge to watch porn comes, set off a timer for 3 minutes and tell yourself that you're free to watch porn only if you wait these 3 minutes. You'll not stop yourself, you'll not resist this urge. You just have to wait for 3 minutes and then you're free to do that activity. In this example, watch porn. Once you've set off that timer, remind yourself in these 3 minutes, why do you wanna break this habit of watching porn? Just think of all the reasons that you wanna stop. You might even allow the thoughts of the regret that takes over once you watch porn and jack off. And this is where the magic happens. I want you to become a surfer. In these 3 minutes, after you're done reminding yourself why you want to quit this habit, I want you to close your eyes, get in your body, and feel the urge as it arises in your body. The same way you feel the urge to eat, it's a physical sensation in your body. Every desire to do something arises in your body as an urge, which is a physical sensation in your body. So just close your eyes and allow these sensations, just feel those sensations completely. You might be noticing a pattern here of feeling things. And just for these 3 minutes, I want you to become a surfer. Just surf this urge without trying to change it and get rid of it in any way. And what you'll realize that if you don't resist the urge and let it come and you let it come up, it comes up and it goes away again like a wave. And your job here is to become a surfer. You don't have to meddle with the wave, you don't have to change the urge. Just surf it, allow it to come up and allow it to go away. The same way you feel hungry, and then if you don't eat after a while, your urge to eat goes away. Every urge operates in a similar manner. And then after these 3 minutes of surfing, ask yourself if you can replace this activity. There's always a payoff that an activity has. I don't like to make an urge or an activity evil because it has an emotional payoff. So if you're jacking off to feel that sense of relief, ask yourself if after those 3 minutes you can replace this activity with a healthier alternative. So what else might give you that sense of relief? Could it be talking to people? Could it be getting some fresh air, going for a walk outside? Could it be doing some breath work, some relaxation? It could be anything. If the answer is yes, awesome, congratulate yourself and pat yourself on the back, celebrate it. And if the answer is no, you still want to watch porn, you're free to go ahead and do it. But if you go ahead and jack off and watch porn, be compassionate to yourself, be kind to yourself, don't beat yourself up. Congratulate yourself on the fact that you could wait for 3 minutes, and then ask yourself, what can you do better to avoid this pattern the next time? And the thing with mindfulness timer is, if you just remember to do this, if you just remember to set up that timer for 3 minutes, you cannot fail. You can literally not fail when you do the mindfulness timer. Best case scenario, you end up avoiding that activity in that instant. Worst case scenario, you exercise your willpower, you exercise your mindfulness for 3 minutes. So you literally cannot lose. Plus, this tool also gives you the healthier alternative for that activity. So the payoff you were so desperately looking for, you can get that from a healthier alternative. It said that a habit cannot be removed, it can only be replaced. The final step is the most underrated approach to consistency or resilience discovered by science. There was this fascinating study in which two groups of dieters were brought in a room and they were asked to eat an entire glazed donut. So like a big fucking donut, they were asked to eat in 2 minutes or something. And these dieters were divided into two groups. And after eating that donut, they were asked to drink a glass full of water so that they feel uncomfortably full, which would evoke that sense of guilt that they ate that entire donut despite being on a diet. And here's how the two groups were bifurcated. Group A were told nothing basically, so their default response was a sense of guilt, and they thought to themselves, I shouldn't have eaten this donut. And group B, on the other hand, were given a message of kindness. So they were told it's okay to get off your diet and to indulge every now and then. There's no guilt in that. Don't be too harsh on yourself. And as a result, what they thought to themselves was, it's okay to cheat. And let me ask you this, which one of these groups do you think actually stuck on with their diets in the long run? The group that thought to themselves, I shouldn't have indulged in that cheat meal or that donut, or the group that thought to themselves, yeah, it's okay to cheat every now and then? Now, I think so the emotion gave it off, but I'm pretty sure your instinct was to think that group A was more consistent with their diet in the long run. But that was not the case actually. Group A was a clear winner here. And was the reason for that? Our usual tendency at setbacks is to criticize ourselves and call ourselves stupid when we experience these failures. So for the dieters, when they ate the donut, they criticized themselves, and it became painful to them for them to look at this situation and analyze it and learn from it. Whereas for group B, when they were kind to themselves for this setback, for eating that donut, there was no shame and guilt which made the situation painful, and they could learn from it and be better from the next point onwards in their dieting journey in the future. And that is why group B was more successful. So, this tendency to criticize yourself, that little voice in your head that calls you stupid and beats you up, kills your discipline. And it was extremely strong in me. And the way I countered this tendency was through this mindset of treating myself like my own child. And the only test for this mindset is, would I say this to my child? So, would I call my child fucking stupid for not doing their homework or not being productive? No, I fucking won't. So, I won't say it to myself. It's as simple as that. Instead, what I like to do is when I experience any setbacks and I experience any failures, I like to treat myself again like my own child and with kindness, and tell myself that's okay, it's only human to make mistakes. What can you do better the next time? Because this is exactly the response I would have if my child were to come to me and tell me they have failed in any area of their life. So I used to think that happiness can only be achieved by releasing all of the trauma that you carry. So through years of meditation, years of sitting in the lotus posture, releasing all of that trauma, getting rid of it, will allow me to become happy. And I pursued that for a long ass time. But I recently finished this book, and I am genuinely, it's a beautiful book, and I am genuinely convinced that anyone can be happy irrespective of what their life circumstance is. And I don't know whether you've noticed this, but you're more productive, you're more focused, you get more shit done when you're feeling good about yourself and your life. So here's a journaling method that I do daily as a part of my nighttime routine. I do it without fail every day. No matter how tired I am, I find time for this. And one of my clients called this questions that matter. What this is, at the end of every day, you do nothing but you answer these three questions. What was the one thing that made me smile today? What is the one win that I collected today? Or what's the one thing I'm proud of? And what one thing from the day am I grateful for? And it might seem insignificant, to be frank. I considered it to be insignificant before I started, but it's absolutely beautiful because it forces me to look for three beautiful things that happened in my day every single day. No matter how fucked up or no matter how bad my day was, at the end of the day, I am forced to find three beautiful things, and I go to bed feeling awesome every single day, which improves my quality of sleep and in turn makes me more productive. And it also trained me to look for these incidents as they're happening in my day. So that was the entire system to unfuck your life. And if you want to work with me personally to apply this system in your life specifically, apply all of these steps in a step-by-step structured manner, schedule that free strategy call with me before they all book out, and I'll see you there.